It's day 2 of the Future Blockchain Summit at Dubai Harbor. I'm Ronella Hernandez, and sitting here with me, we have Cinderella. I love your name. And she is the managing partner at Glass Ventures. How are you?
Hi, Ronella. It's phenomenal to be here. Once again, we see Dubai as a thriving community, and it's extremely exciting.
Yes, I agree. It's been a packed couple days so far. Can't wait for the rest of the week. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about you and what you're doing in the industry at Glass Ventures.
Yes, thank you for asking. So my past is pretty vanilla, I would say. I've been 15 years in traditional finance. You can feel the passion here, right? Until the day I met the blockchain, right? It was back in 2016.
Okay. What was going on that day? Do you remember that moment?
I saw light for the first time, and I got enlightened since then, right? So 2016, I was working in a capital market, right? And I was part of this team that were issuing for the first time a repo, well, a financial product, into a blockchain. What happened is that normally you would settle in 3 days, but now you settle in the moment, right? There is no middleman, it's cost efficient, everything flows, seamless. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And I had a customer pain and a customer gain, right? So I was like, this is just like the real disruption, like the positive disruption you've been waiting your whole life, literally, right? And then
You were
27.
waiting your whole life for blockchain?
I mean, at the end of the day, working in an industry where you're very push, but in a non-push environment, where everything is wrong. When you wake up in the morning and you're like, that's gonna be painful again, right? But then eventually, overnight, everything changes. Well, true and not, right? Because you're still working for a corporate in the old world. So until I made this full, leap of faith, and I decided to go to the right side of the coin. No offense to the naysayers, but at the end of the day, I'm also a big democratizer, and I want to be part of these people bringing the bridge and infusing traditional finance, towards the digital asset world, right? Because I've been there, right? And I saw the light. So I want to share that light, to share that love to the people that are not there yet.
All right, I love it. So then tell me more about Glass Ventures and the VC firm and maybe what the investment strategy is behind it, given right now the market conditions.
Right. So Glass Ventures is actually the very first Web4 venture capital firm.
Web4? I thought we were at a Web3 conference here. Tell me about Web4.
Well, I'm going to be arrogant, but in an elegant way, and I'm going to say Web3 is a little bit vintage. When I say that, Web3 is not even mature yet in terms of the ambition that Web3 wants to go. But Web4 is already a reality. And at the end of the day, as an investor, you want to invest in the future of tomorrow. This is future-proofing, right?
So how did we already get to Web4 when I'm hearing a lot of people tell me at this conference that we're still in Web 2.5?
That's right. So basically, I look at where I want to go, where I'm heading, right? Because again, when you do early stage investments, you want to make sure that you invest at the forefront of innovation on the right time. And the time is now. So if I look at the story about the WWW, at the end of the day, it was about Web 0. Web 0 was this Minitel, French ancestor of the internet. And it was literally just a huge computer with one black screen. And I would remember my whole life because my brother, being in the industry, 12 years older than me, was looking at that screen. I was 6 years old. And the minute after 12 hours, a letter comes in the screen. It was an L, and I could read at the time. And he was like ecstatic and dancing, and I was like, I'm not sure about that, right? The next day, Web 1 happened. Web 1 is when you read only. So you don't need to go to the library anymore. You go to your computer, you go Wikipedia, you get books, you can read. Web 2 is where the longest lifespan, because it's still a real thing right now. Web 2 is a social web. It's when we start to be able to answer. So I can interact right now. I can write to blogs. I can do WhatsApp. I can do Zoom. I can do Skype, right? The Web 3 is when we get to more engagement in terms of user experience, the augmented virtual reality, the immersiveness of it, right? So I'm gonna go in Web 3 and I feel like as if I'm there, right? So my senses are even more engaged. It's not only I can type, I can see you, I can hear you, FaceTime great, but no immersive. I can almost I am with you on a call on the Web 3 and I feel like that's it, it's real. I can't tell you right now, are we in the Web 3, are we in the reality? The same, right? Seamless.
We're in reality.
I hope we are. But what is reality really, right?
I don't know nowadays. Okay, so we went from reading and writing, reading, writing and owning, and it's increasing the amount of engagement and immersiveness with each evolution and each stage of the World Wide Web.
And then Web 4.
And then Web 4.
So the Web 4 is this symbiotic web. It's a one-stop shop where you get all these technologies together and more. So you would have a web that is decentralized, blockchain related, some AI embedded, some metaverse / augmented virtual reality embedded as well. And that's going to be the next step in terms of like user experience, immersiveness, but also more senses are going to be involved.
What kinds of use cases do you imagine people using these types of technologies that you just mentioned, so mixed reality and metaverse experiences on a more daily basis? Like, how would you like to see a world in which this is part of our daily lives?
So, just before we started to do this interview, you were telling me some people are speaking even about Web 5, right? And I want to believe the idea behind it is that next level of engagement is that day I am going to go to the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. I'm going to see my friend Ornella and call her actually. And I will say, hey buddy, and I touch your shoulder and you feel my shoulder. And I will be, I am at the Grand Bazaar. You asked me for some saffron. Is it the one you wanted, that color? Yeah.
And I'm in a different part of the world.
Right? I am in Turkey, you're in Madrid. And then you can smell it. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. Bring it to me.
Through what device?
That's the thing. So there's different texts, right? Different texts evolving, access with different pricing and this and that, right? It can be neural codes. It can be, some people are speaking about SIM cards you would put under your skin. It can be very different, or like
Elon Musk is working on the
exactly, right? So these are the kind of things where you get to a stage that finally, one of the biggest fantasy of the human world was, can I duplicate myself? Can I go to this, wedding in Bodrum and to Ibiza with my friend, and to Ibiza in the same time, and to be at that conference at the same time? Can I do that? Well, that might become a reality.
Okay, I love it. And since we are at the Future Blockchain Summit, I do have to ask, how do you envision the future of blockchain looking like? I know you just kind of answered it, but if you wanted to simplify.
So it's, at the end of the day, the future of blockchain is it's about a community, keeping on building the blocks together, right? At the end of the day, you're looking into the challenges. The challenges are going to be the scalability, are going to be the security, which is the big player right now. And that's going to be the fragmentation. Because the more protocols created is great, because that's going to mean competition. Competition leads to innovation. But at the end of the day, you can get some users' confusions, right? Which protocol should I go for? What is that, right?
Nowadays, yeah.
And then you have the interoperability issue, like, okay, how do I go from one blockchain to another blockchain? Is there any consensus? Consensus is a big story in our industry. Even when you speak about regulatory arbitrage right now, is there any jurisdiction that are going to be agreeing on what is, the Bitcoin? Is it the utility? Is it the security? Is it the token? Is it what, right?
Yeah, we got a long way to go. But anyways, thank you so much for your time today, Cinderella. Enjoy the rest of the conference.